And you know, these bracelets, they seem like a good idea for counter, but not today. So I was really emotional when I saw this lesson because I thought, you know, Elder Maines gave this beautiful talk in April in General Conference about establishing a Christ-centered home. And this is really hard for me. I grew up in a home where both my parents were orphaned when they were very young. And so my mother was raised by her grandmother, and when her grandmother died, that was pretty much it. And she was raised in Mexico in a restaurant by her grandmother, so she became a really great cook. And my dad, while his father owned a lot of land and was affluent, the stepmother came in with her kids and kind of put him and his sister on the street when they were 15. So he became this, you know, independent adult at 15. So when my parents came to the United States, we had no family. It was just us. And my parents were seeking for something, and so they would force my sister to put a doily on her head and walk us over this bridge and go to this school where they had like Catholic mass. And so it was, she would just be so angry because this doily was on her head and it wouldn't stay on there, and I'd be like, well, you have to wear it. So it was interesting. I can remember as a kid, one person would come into our lives once a year, and it was my dad's sister, and she traveled a lot, and she owned a store and a mall and someplace in Mexico City, but she would come and take us to Disneyland. And that was pretty much it. When the missionaries knocked on our door, I was 7 years old, and for that year my dad challenged every one of those missionaries. He was a very deep thinker and a very intelligent man, and studied the Bible a lot, and his mission was to prove that they really didn't know what they were talking about. And those 17 points of the true church, that was his checklist. And so when he was satisfied, a couple years he joined, or a year later he joined the church. And so immediately our family became Bishop Bradshaw, Bishop Wallace. All these beautiful, wonderful people in the church embraced us. And it was just my parents and us little 7 kids struggling to become, you know, something. So that's, as I pulled out, I only have one picture of this aunt, and I put her next to me in the mirror. I asked myself, do I look like you? I always think, you know, what do you look like? What do my ancestors look like? What do I look like? And it's a wonderful thing to have been, on the day of my sealing at the temple, when my parents were sealed. I have an older sister that's deceased. I remember this one elderly woman there who sat in place of my sister that's deceased to seal to us. And it always stuck in my mind because I was little. I think I was 8 or 9. And on the day of my sealing, as I'm walking out of the doors of the temple to take our photos and such, standing at the entrance, coming in was this woman. And it was such a great testimony to me, because over the years I have felt this sister's presence in my life when I needed it, that she was there. And it was such, you know, this understanding and this belief in the eternal nature of our family should inspire us all to do everything we can in our power to establish a Christ-centered home. I love to talk about Elder Lee, who's about 6'3". He's my girlfriend from high school's little son, who's on a mission in Chicago, and in spite of being pelted by sheets of rain and tossing himself on the bicycle on the ground, and his poor missionary companion needing a new bike because he just can't fix it enough. He's learning to relate to the people that they're teaching. He said there was this woman, and he started teaching her and learning about her, and she loved to crochet. So little Elder Lee has become proficient at crocheting. He says it relaxes him, although the other missionaries make fun of him. It focuses him, and he loves it. Who knew? And so, having said that, you know, Elder Maines on his mission in Uruguay and Paraguay found that one of the greatest attractions to those that were seeking to know about our church, those folks that are truth-seeking investigators, was our doctrine regarding the family. And that we believe that families can be together forever. This principle of eternal families is an essential element in our Heavenly Father's great plan for His children. I couldn't help but to observe the sisters as we have discussions openly about some of the members in our board, how we know things about them, we care about them, we love them. We really treat each other as a family. We are each other's family. And so this fundamental plan was spoken of in the Bible by Apostle Paul. The Apostle Paul taught that Heavenly Father is the Father of our spirits, that they should seek the Lord and find Him, for in Him we live and move and have our being, for we are also His offspring. Being offspring of a loving Heavenly Father is a very basic principle in the gospel of Jesus Christ. And even our children proclaim that as they sing this wonderful primary song. We're going to sing it today, just the first verse, and you all know it. It's, I am a child of God. So, I wanted to sing it because I thought I'd be more impactful than me just reading it to you. And if you have it memorized, awesome. It's on page 300 if you have your hymn books. I really want you to look at the words. If you don't have a hymn book, there's plenty around. But I want you to really think of the words and how inspired they were. Text written by a sister, Ruth Gardner, and the music by another sister, Banta Watkins. And it's taken from the Doctrine and Covenants in the Book of Alma, these principles. Page 300, verse 1. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm really taking down the wrong path here. It's 301. Someone's paying attention. Thank you. You know what? It's these trifocals. Just bear patience. Okay. I am a child of God, and He has sent me here, has given me an earthly home, with parents kind and dear. Lead me, guide me, walk beside me, help me find the way. Teach me all that I must do to live with Him someday. What a beautiful hymn. I wish you could stand up here and see what I'm seeing. Recognizing that we have heavenly families, help us understand the eternal nature of our earthly families. I can't help but to be filled with the Spirit after listening to you. The Doctrine and Covenants teaches us the fundamental order of heaven. And that same society which existed among us there will exist among us, and that same sociality which existed among us here will exist among us there, only it will be coupled with eternal glory. What a beautiful principle that our earthly families and our heavenly families are one and the same. That these relationships will extend beyond the grave. What a beautiful teaching. It's critical that we understand this eternal nature of the family in understanding our Heavenly Father's plan for His children. Now the adversary will do everything in his power to destroy our Heavenly Father's plan. In his attempt to defeat our Heavenly Father's plan, he is leading an unprecedented attack on the institution of the family. Last Sunday, as I was sitting on my couch,